My name is Casey, and I am Dale's son. In June of 2020, my dad tested positive for COVID-19. And that changed the course of the entire year for our family. His journey through life support, rehab, and recovery has taught me the true power of family and friends. I've never been more proud of my dad, and this is his story.
My name's Dale. I'm from Niles, Ohio. And last year, I contracted COVID-19. And it was pretty scary.
He's in God's hands now.
Yeah, he is.
Let's pray.
All right, Ed, thank you.
Father, we thank you for our brother. We're crushed. We have no place to go to you. Lord, whatever happens, in your hands. We now give him to you. Lord, we just hope that you give him back to us.
Well, he was not feeling good, say like around Monday, and then each day just seemed to be worse and worse. Well, then when he got to the point, we were out in the driveway, I was trying to get him to move around, and he asked me if it was January, and this was in June. So that's when I went in and I called the doctor's office and talked to them and told them what was happening. And so the nurse there had told me that he needed to go get evaluated at the ER.
They'd given me a antibiotic, a Z-Pack, I think they call it. And I wasn't feeling any better, so I went back and the doctor saw me and they had the results then that I did test positive for COVID. And he told me I needed to go home and quarantine away from my family. They first went to the doctor on Tuesday and then Thursday. Well, on Friday, I went into the bathroom and I was so weak I could hardly make it in. So on my way back to the couch, I ended up on the floor. I didn't fall, but I just kind of got down on my hands and knees, and then I was laying down on the floor and I could not move. I couldn't get up. It just was like, boom, I was down.
So that's when we called 911 and they came, and at that point he was laying in the family room floor, and they came in, they got him up and took him.
So he took me into St. Joe's Mercy Hospital in Warren by ambulance, and I don't remember a lot of that. I was pretty far out of it.
Dad had been in the hospital for a couple of days, a day and a half, and suddenly things took a quick turn, and the need for a ventilator came on very quickly. Fortunately, the nurse that was there and working with us and giving us updates was able to set up the iPad in his lap so that we could get a chance to talk to him and see him before he went on the ventilator. So fortunately, we were able to use FaceTime and invite all of his children, his family members.
I've never felt like this in my life. I don't feel like I'm gonna be here long.
Well, Dale,
Come on, Dad.
you're gonna fight through, Dale. You've
I
got.
understand. I want to.
I
You're a
know.
fighter. You're a fighter.
It was scary. We didn't know what was going to happen next. Everything was going the wrong way quickly, and it was a tough call. Didn't really know what to say.
I love you all, whatever happens. We love you.
We love you too, Dale. We love you.
Hang in there. Keep going.
Give it a fight.
Yeah, just
You-
give it a try.
You kick that in the ass.
At that point that night, they were all kind of nervous at what was going to happen. And Casey actually said, "Daddy, nobody said it, but we were all thinking this might be the last time we ever talked to you." And I was close. I almost checked
All
out.
right.
All right, don't be mad if I can't do it.
Dad, don't.
Dad,
You got it.
don't
We
think
would
like-
never be mad at you.
Never be mad at you. You just fight hard.
Yep.
Right.
All right. Love you.
Love you.
I love you, Dad.
Love you guys.
Bye. You hang in there.
But I was on it for 10 days. And during that time, I developed double pneumonia. My heart rate dropped to 42 at one time. My blood pressure was all over the place. My breathing was labored, not good. They were having trouble adjusting my oxygen levels. So all my other side effects were starting to kick in and affect my recovery.
At this point, early in the COVID time, the hospitals were slammed. The nurses were, covering more patients than normal. It was a very difficult time at the hospitals, and they have to gown up, go in, do their thing, come out, degown. So every time we would call and ask for information, knowing that they have to come out, degown, talk, go back in, we're taking 10 plus minutes away from whatever patients that they have under their care at the time.
Thinking of him being there by himself, going through this the life-threatening situation, it was very difficult. The boys, all three of the boys were great. Aaron at the time lived with me, so he was a great support at home. Casey and Cody were always available on the phone.
We talked through everything that the nurses and the doctors gave us, all the information, and we would think about it from my dad's perspective of what do we think that he would want if he were here, and he had a vote in this as well. And if all three of us were on the same page with that, then we felt good about the decision. And the multiple decisions we were faced with, we were always right on the same page. It was very clear. We knew exactly what he would have done in those situations.
And then there was a point where his heart level was so down, and they just couldn't do anything to get his heart level up. And they did talk about putting in a pacemaker. But they did, it seems like all of a sudden one night I called the nurse's station, and she said, about midnight, she said his heart rate just went up. And she said, I don't know what happened or anything, but he has a good heart rate now.
My blood pressure leveled off. My breathing was better. But they didn't have any explanation for it. And I had a dream while I was on the ventilator about my dad and my mom. I saw my grandmother, and I saw my mother-in-law. Now, all of them are in heaven. My dad was 67 years, 8 months, and 10 days when he died back in 1991. Well, this past May, I turned 67. And for years, I used to tell everybody my goal was just to live one day longer than my dad. Because as I followed his footsteps, it was a little scary. So in this dream, I remember when I saw my mom and dad, I said to my dad, I says, Dad, I'm tired. I can't fight this anymore. Bring me home. I'm ready. And my dad looked at me, he said, Dale, you can't come home yet. He said, you have to go back. He said, you still have work to do. I'm not sure what kind of work I have to do. I just have to be open to it, but I do remember that was the first time I thought, hey, maybe I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna outlive him. But I did come out of it, and then I was in the ICU for a while. They still had the feeding tube in, the breathing machine, or some other stuff on me. When you're on a ventilator, they put you on a prone table, which makes it easy for them to flip you over and turn you and move you around. And when they would turn me over, my breathing was easier than laying on my back. Well, I formed a bruise on my right hip, and it was my whole hip, the upper leg. Then they did a CAT scan. That's when they found the hematoma. The blood surrounded the nerve endings on the inside of my leg from my hip all the way to my ankle. And it was like my leg was on fire. I couldn't sleep. It was the most miserable feeling I've ever had. They moved me to another facility down in Boardman. It's St. E's Mercy Health in Boardman.
As I go through this recovery, it's slow, very slow, and that the COVID-19 just drains your energy. And so, because I was laying flat on my back for a couple of weeks on the ventilator and everything, and it just zaps your energy completely. They've had to put me into rehab now, and they have to teach me how to stand up. I couldn't even stand with balancing, just with nothing.
Those victories were huge. I'm thinking, I just walked from here to there, how big's that? But I've later come to realize that was pretty big, because I couldn't walk at all.
Well, today I had my first therapy session, physical therapy, and I was doing fairly well, I thought, and I was working on the steps, and I did them about 4 or 5 times, and then my knee gave out. Almost went to the floor. The girls caught me, and she, for the first time doing steps in 6 weeks, she thought I did pretty good. So I guess we're gonna work on it again tomorrow. So it's just gonna take a little time, and I guess we'll do whatever it takes. So one day at a time. That's all we can do. The doctor was just here to see me. Today's Wednesday, I think. And he looked over my knee and my leg, right leg mostly. And he doesn't understand what's going on. It's the blood clot, the hematoma that's dissolving. And I am in a subacute facility. They give you 1 hour of therapy a day. If I go to an acute facility like Hillside, it's up to 3 to 4 hours a day. So they're going to discuss, if the leg doesn't start getting better, that they might have to move me to Hillside for some more intensive therapy. So I'll keep you posted, and we'll take it one day at a time. Talk to you later.
They didn't think I was strong enough to go home yet, because while I was in the hospital, Debbie tested positive for COVID, and she had the flu-like symptoms. She thought she had a sinus headache and all, and thank goodness she didn't get the virus as badly as I did. But it was still, as I was laying there thinking I was going to get to go home, she comes up with a positive test, so now I can't go home. So they send me to a nursing home.
Well, we're on our way to go get Dale. We are going to Boardman to pick him up. Haven't seen him for, I don't even know, 5 weeks maybe. And nobody's seen him. It's like amazing that he's made it to this point that he's going to get moved to Shepherd of the Valley. And the new Shepherd at that. He's going to the one they just built. It's going to be like state of the art. I think he's going to be the first person to sleep in the bed that he's going to have. It's so exciting. I'm so excited for him to get to this journey. He's been through such a long, hard month that I just can't even imagine what's happened to him. I can't imagine being him. I can't imagine not seeing my family for a month. He doesn't know this, but man, he's going to have a whole bunch of people there cheering him in, and that is so exciting. Everybody's so excited about at least being able to see him and share in the joy of him arriving at his new place. Stop, Kurt. Go very slow, Kurt. You can probably put your window down and wait a minute. You gotta read all the signs, Dale. You gotta read them all. I like it. I like it.
You kicked me in the ass first. All right.
Dale, are you feeling loved?
Yeah.
That was just I was just so overwhelmed, because when he left the house, I wasn't sure that I would get to see him again. But in the hard part there was, even though I was getting to see him, I couldn't hug him, I couldn't kiss him, you know, I just had to stay my distance. But it was so good to be able to actually see him after 43 days. So it was just a wonderful feeling.
It's been 5 weeks. See a difference in weight.
I'll save your sign for you. We're saving them all. All right.
Thank you, everybody, for hanging in there with me. It's been a long haul.
I realized what a lucky man I am to have such a wonderful family who cared enough to take time out of their day to welcome me. And it was very, very special to me. So while I was in the nursing home, one night I fell. I landed right on my backside and hit the end of my pelvic bone. And I hit hard. It hurt. They brought in the company to do an x-ray. They have a portable x-ray machine that they bring in because they thought I might have broke it or cracked it or fractured it.
Well, it's Wednesday evening. After I fell last night, I had x-rays today, and they came back negative. So I didn't damage anything other than my butt. It still hurts pretty bad. It'll probably be bruised, but it's going to take a few days, but it should clear up. But the good news is I didn't break anything, and I'm still going home Friday. So I got 2 more nights, and then I'm home.
And I was in there for about 2 weeks when I went home. And again, Martha and Kurt come to pick me up, and Debbie. And they were driving me home from the nursing home to my home. And we come around the corner, and I see all these people on the street. And there was people from the church, my friends, family, neighbors.
Man, Dale, I beat COVID-19.
Yeah, you did,
Dad, welcome back, buddy.
You just have to live every day and make the best of every day, because you just don't know when a loved one's going to be taken away from you. And, just to have him home again, it's just a great feeling.
But it was fun visiting with everybody. I hadn't seen them for a long time. Of course, nobody could come up close because we kept the distancing thing going on. And I got into the house and rested up, and then they sent the physical therapy to the house. The physical therapist would come 3 times a week and work with me. And after, I think about 3 weeks, 4 weeks of that, I started going to Dreher's physical therapy in Howland. And those people are just fantastic. I went there 3 times a week. I started out with water therapy in the swimming pool. And then, I think November, December timeframe, I went to all land, no more water. So I'm home and now and full time. And I am able to drive now. And I'm able to get around without a cane. Going up steps isn't too bad. I can do one right after the other. Not as fast as I would like, but I can do it. Going down, it's a little harder. The eccentric movement on my right knee still needs some work. But I'm getting there. January 23rd of 2021, just a couple months ago, I lived 1 day longer than my dad on January 23rd. And who knows how far I'm gonna go.
Welcome back, Dale. Praise the Lord.
I can't say enough about the nursing staff at St. Joe's, Select Care, and the nursing home that is the next step. We should all appreciate our healthcare workers. They come to work every day, expose themselves to people with COVID and many other diseases. And they have to gear up and protect themselves, and then they have to go home at night to their families and know that they are not bringing these diseases home. That has to be a hard thing. Thank God we have the medical staffs and the medical personnel in our country that we do. We have the best in the world. And we should always tell them we appreciate what they do. Because if it wasn't for them, I may not be here today to tell my story. It's because of the nurses and the doctors at St. Joe's in Warren, Select Care in Boardman, and Shepherd of the Valley Nursing Home in Liberty. It's because of those people that I was able to pull through.